And in just hours from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on his way to Washington to have dinner with the Obamas. I'm going to take you across live first to Times Square in New York City, that location that saw so much electric fervor yesterday as thousands of Indians thronged that area. In fact, just moments ago, Prime Minister Modi also met with the Clintons, Hillary and Bill Clinton. He called on them and he wished them on the birth of their new grandchild as well. I'm going to take you straight across now to Managing Editor Rahul Kaval, who's with us live now from Times Square. Rahul, take it away.
Thank you very much, Shiv. We're here live at the New York Palace Hotel where Hillary Clinton, probable candidate for president in 2016 from the Democrat Party, is meeting along with former President Bill Clinton, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And there was a huge scramble on this morning when MEA officials were trying to get hold of a gift for the new Clinton who's just been born, Hillary's grandchild. But that having been said, we just saw Mr. Immelt walk out a short while before now. There's a power-packed breakfast meeting with CEOs this morning. And Shiv, the key focus seems to be predictability, consistency. CEO after CEO that we spoke to said that what they're looking for Modi to deliver on is predictability and consistency in government policy. These business leaders told us the government can decide what sort of an economic framework it wants, what sort of a governance architecture they want to build, but it must be consistent. That is what big American companies are pushing for. Indira Nui came out and she spoke to us and she said, brilliant, brilliant, he's brilliant. That's how taken in she was in the meeting with the Prime Minister. We also caught up with Ajay Banga, President, CEO, MasterCard, one of the most prominent Indians in American business. He too was very impressed in the meeting with the Prime Minister, saying that he was receptive to American business interest. He promised to create the changes that are required to be able to take the India-America story forward. Here is the exclusive interview that we recorded with MasterCard CEO Ajay Banga speaking to us here at the New York Palace Hotel. भारतीय प्रधानमंत्री की अभी मुलाकात हुई है अमेरिका के तमाम टॉप सीईओ से। इस वक्त अजय बांगा साहब हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। सर, बताइए कि मुलाकात कैसी रही, कितने संतुष्ट थे आप पीएमसी मीटिंग के बाद?
देखिए, उनसे मिलके तो नॉर्मली जो भी आप सुनते हैं वह बड़ी क्लियर तौर से बताते हैं। उन्होंने बड़ी क्लियरली बताया है कि उनका फोकस है फर्स्ट इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, ताकि ग्रोथ आएगी तो उससे नौकरियां आएंगी, जॉब्स आएंगे तो उसके साथ उनकी दूसरी बेनिफिट ये है कि लोगों की रोज़गारी और हैप्पीनेस रहेगी। थर्ड, ही वांट्स टू क्रिएट क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ। तीनों के लिए उन्होंने बहुत क्लियरली किया है, मुझे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की ज़रूरत है और मुझे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और टूरिज़्म पे फोकस है। अब ये तीनों की उन्होंने बड़ी क्लियरली स्टेटमेंट्स दिए हैं कि क्या उनके इंटेंशंस है। और फ्रैंकली पूरी बिजनेस कम्युनिटी की जो डायलॉग हुई थी उसी के आसपास हुई थी कि ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, टूरिज़्म, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और जो आप प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी और कंसिस्टेंसी बनाना चाहते हैं इंडिया में, उसके बारे में।
अमेरिकन कंपनीज काफ़ी परेशान थी इंडिया के बिजनेस क्लाइमेट को लेकर पिछले कुछ सालों में। आपको लगता है कि इस मीटिंग के बाद पीएम ने जो कहा उससे थोड़ा विश्वास जगता है कि इंडिया इज़ अ गुड प्लेस टू कम मेक इन इंडिया?
सर, एक्चुअली ये सिर्फ इस मीटिंग की बात नहीं है, ऑल्दो उनके साथ मिलकर हर एक आदमी को कुछ आइडिया हो जाता है कि उनकी पर्सनल थिंकिंग क्या है और अल्टीमेटली उनकी पर्सनल थिंकिंग से आपको या तो रीअश्योरेंस मिलेगी या नहीं। इन दिस केस रीअश्योरेंस मिली है उनको, मगर ऑलरेडी पिछले 3-4 महीने में जो उन्होंने अर्ली एक्शंस लिए हैं वो एक्शंस डेमोन्स्ट्रेट कर रही हैं कि उनकी अप्रोच बड़ी थोड़ा निर्णयपूर्ण है। ही इज़ वेरी डिवोटेड एंड फोकस्ड कि मैं एग्जीक्यूट करूँ।
क्या कंसर्न्स थे अमेरिकन इन्वेस्टर्स के सबसे ज़्यादा?
मोस्टली सर, देखिए, आप पिछले 4-5 साल से देखिए तो ये कंसर्न है प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी और कंसिस्टेंसी का। आप पॉलिसी जो लगाएं आप लगाएं, मगर प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी और कंसिस्टेंसी पॉलिसी की जो होती है उससे इन्वेस्टर डिसाइड कर सकता है कि मैं यहाँ इन्वेस्ट करूँ या कहीं और इन्वेस्ट करूँ। आई थिंक वो पॉइंट 2-3 बार आया है दूसरे लोगों से, वो वेदर टैक्सेस पे है या इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी पे है या बेसिक फास्ट क्लियरेंस ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स। अब प्रधानमंत्री साहब ने चारों चीज़ों पे बड़ी क्लियर जवाब दिए हैं। मेक इन इंडिया में उन्होंने बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ दिए हैं टू गेट थिंग्स एग्जीक्यूटेड फास्ट, सो उसके लिए एक्चुअली रिस्पॉन्स बहुत अच्छा था।
आपको लगता है मेक इन इंडिया का पीएम का सपना पूरा होगा सर?
वाई नॉट?
जो कहा, क्या लगा आपको?
देखा जाए तो उनकी जो गुजरात में टाइम था उसमें जो उन्होंने क्लियरली अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ करवाई हैं और जो उन्होंने एग्जीक्यूशन दिखाया है, अगर वो यहाँ पे कर सकें, ये हो सकता है कि पूरा इंडिया में करना एक साथ इज़ एन एक्सपेक्टेशन टू मच। वो कोई एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करता है, मगर अगर आप इम्प्रूवमेंट दिखा सकें, अगर आप प्रोग्रेस दिखा सकें और कंसिस्टेंटली दिखा सकें, सो आई सी नो रीज़न वाई अमेरिकन कैपिटल विल नॉट फाइंड इट्स वे टू इंडिया।
आपकी खुद की कंपनी के इंडिया में अब क्या प्लान है इसके बाद?
हमारी इन्वेस्टमेंट बहुत बढ़ चुकी हैं सर। हमारी एक्चुअली इंटरेस्टिंगली वडोदरा में हमारी सबसे बड़ी ग्लोबल हब है मोबाइल टेक्नोलॉजी यूज़ करने की। और आप देखिए अगर जो फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन जो प्रधानमंत्री जी कह रहे हैं जो जन धन योगा है, उसमें अगर आप देखें तो वन ऑफ द बेस्ट थिंग्स यू कैन डू इज़ टू प्रोवाइड मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी। मोबाइल फ़ोन ज़्यादा है इंडिया में, और अगर हम मोबाइल फ़ोन के यूज़ कर सकें और उसके थ्रू लोगों की फाइनेंशियल अकाउंट की कनेक्टिविटी और उनकी एबिलिटी टू स्पेंड और विड्रॉ मनी करा सकें, वो टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट हमारी बिगेस्ट हब वडोदरा में है।
That was Mastercard's Ajay Banga, one of the most high-ranking Indians in American business. We also caught up with Indira Nui, CEO of PepsiCo, and Jeffrey Immelt of General Electric, and this is what they told us about the meeting with Prime Minister Modi.
To be working with him. Thank you.
Any concerns?
I have no other comments. This is all I have to say.
How was the meeting with Mr. Modi?
Great, really good. Thank you.
What is it that the Prime Minister told you about investing in India?
We're a long-term investor in India.
Long-term investment in India. That's what
No, we've been a long-term investor, so we're quite comfortable with the country.
New rules of the game. Is that what the Prime Minister said?
Again, Prime Minister, we have great hope for the Prime Minister. We're quite fond of him.
BlackRock has offered to host the India Investor Summit for 2015. That came out of the meeting with the BlackRock CEO at the New York Palace Hotel. The meeting between Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton and the Prime Minister is about to get over. We're going to go in and see if we can try and speak to them on the way out. For the time being, I want to take you to Washington, where my colleague Rajdeep Sardesai is joining us this morning. Rajdeep, huge excitement here in New York over the past few days, but what's the build-up in Washington, D.C.? The Prime Minister lands there at 5 p.m. What are the preparations for the evening's grand dinner, Rajdeep?
Well, Rahul, it's clear that the Prime Minister has wowed New York. I was reading the Morning USA Today, which is one of the more popular papers here in Washington, and the headline was Narendra Modi thrills Madison Square Garden. So clearly, Narendra Modi has wowed New York. He's achieved objective number one, which is people-to-people contact, and importantly, as you're suggesting today, reaching out to businessmen, global CEOs, which was an important part of his Washington leg of the visit. But the business end of his visit, or the real business end in terms of the political dialogue, begins here this evening, really, when Narendra Modi has a private dinner with the Obamas. Remember, Mr. Modi is on Navratra, so he is not going to eat anything at that dinner, which is a pity. He's going to only be drinking water, we are told. And the Obamas, will they also join in the fast? That we don't know. But there is an air of informality here at the White House as always. It's a lovely autumn morning here in Washington. And really the sense is that the attempt will be made to reboot Indo-US ties. The word that is consistently being used in America over the last few days by policy wonks is it's time to reboot the relationship between India and the United States. And the question is whether this meeting between Prime Minister Modi and US President Obama will simply be a get to know each other meeting, a know your politician kind of meeting, or will it be more substantive? I think that's the question that people are asking, because this is the first meeting between the two leaders. So let me get a sense of what are the expectations here. Joining me now, two very special guests. I'm joined by Professor Irfan Nuruddin, Associate Professor at the School for Foreign Relations at Georgetown University, and Dr. Inder Sood, who's been with the World Bank, Professor for International Affairs at the University of Washington, and also, importantly, someone who's done a paper on Gujarat as part of his book, because he was there with Narendra Modi 4 years ago as part of a World Bank initiative at the time. So let me get a sense from you, Professor Nuruddin, first. Do you believe that this meeting is simply an icebreaker? Are we hyping it up too much by suggesting that Mr. Modi and President Obama have to, on day one, come up with major announcements?
Major announcements would be great, but I think they're completely unrealistic. And a meet and greet, a get to know your politician, is a very important step for the next 2 years. President Obama's got 2 more years in office, and the relationship that they forged tonight hopefully lays the seed for major negotiations. The difficulties in delivering real policy require a lot of trust and friendship, I believe.
You said interestingly that President Obama has got 2 years to go. Many believe that come January he will virtually be a lame duck president. He's already facing a difficult Congress. America will be in presidential mode in a few months from now. Do you believe that President Obama has the appetite, particularly at a time when the Middle East and ISIS are dominating the headlines and the attention of the American president, to reach out to India? Is India really a priority for the US president?
He needs India. He needs India to be an ally for ISIS. India's played a major role in Afghanistan. It's played a major role in Iraq. For President Obama, at a time when at home he has very few friends, positive meeting with India, important balance in Asia to China as well, is crucial. So does he have what it takes to get major trade reform passed? Can he reduce caps on visas, which I imagine Prime Minister Modi will press him on? I don't know. I doubt it. But can he use India to build and give Prime Minister Modi a sense of being a world player in the global stage on security policy? I believe there they can find convergence, they can find common interests, and hopefully make progress towards other issues.
You know, Dr. Sood, you met Narendra Modi and you were very impressed by Narendra Modi when you met him 4 years ago. Mr. Modi meeting top business leaders today, CEOs today. Do you believe that the real message that must go out is much like America's business is business, India's business is business, and the way to really break down the trust deficit is by deepening business ties between the two countries? Do you believe that is a critical element of really, in a sense, bridging this divide or rebooting the relationship as it's being termed?
I think absolutely, because Narendra Modi has always made it clear that he does not see a distinction between foreign policy and economic policy, or business policy, as you can say it. So very much a part of his visit is to woo the American investors. Now, as you mentioned yourself, he did a very good job this morning meeting with the CEOs. But I think we have to remember this is a start. Icebreaking is not necessarily bad, but he'll have to follow up with a lot of concrete actions.
So no one's going to write out $100 million checks just this morning based on one meeting. That's, you know, I sometimes are we expecting too much of American business? Will India have to change much more to facilitate American business? For example, multi-brand retail. I mean, so long as our laws are seen by the American investor not to be in their interest, they may go to a Philippines or an Indonesia. Why come to India? What will it take for Mr. Modi to convince the American businessman and indeed President Obama that he is a very different government to the previous government?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing we have to remember about Americans is that they have a short attention span. They are not a long attention span people. Secondly, they are willing to give him a lot of the benefit right now. They're enamored by him right now. They're very happy with him, what he's done. But they will wait to see concrete actions. I think Mr. Modi has made a very good start. If you ask an American businessman, they're very impressed with it. But if you also ask them, they have a long history of bureaucratic red tape in India, perhaps corruption even. So I think Mr. Modi promises them that he will deal with those issues. The challenge for him, I think, will be, in my mind, not only deal with it by the dint of his personality, but also through systemic changes. That's what he needs to now, I think, move towards.
So you're saying Narendra Modi will have to push for systemic changes, bring in reform in the true sense of the term to convince America that this is a very different government to the coalition government of Manmohan Singh.
He definitely has convinced already people that he's different. I think that's very clear. What he is not yet, to me, indicated, how does he manage to govern a country of 1.3 billion people? With states as having, we have a federal structure, we have chief ministers. We need to educate people about their responsibility, accountability of the government. I think those are the challenges for him that I see.
You know, if I can come back to the dinner today, do you believe that, you know, obviously every day you look at the headlines in the American newspapers, what's dominating the headlines is Syria, ISIS, America's growing concern over the rise of terror once again in the Middle East. The possibility that America, which was disengaging with parts of the world, might have to re-engage with those parts. Airstrikes taking place as we speak. Do you believe that that will dominate, in a sense, the conversation? And does India need to, in a sense, provide much more than just moral support to this global fight against terror? Is that what you expect President Obama to be telling Narendra Modi?
I imagine that will be a major part of the conversation, and I imagine that Narendra Modi will remind President Obama that India has been fighting terrorism on its own soil for a while, and that of course raises a very dicey dinner conversation, which is, how do you talk about Pakistan? But that said, I mean, you got to...
will he talk Pakistan? Will Prime Minister Modi express India's concerns? Because there's been a feeling over the years that America has never really fully appreciated the depth of India's concerns about terror emanating out of Pakistan. And if America is disengaging from Afghanistan, there is fear that the kind of groups that exist, terror groups, Lashkar, Al-Qaeda, that exist in Afghanistan and Pakistan, will continue to use the soil of these countries to strike on India. Should do you expect Prime Minister Modi in his very first meeting to engage in plain speaking with President Obama?
I would hope so. This is the moment in which to do so. Pakistan for India, of course, is a major issue both at home and abroad. And Afghanistan and Pakistan cannot be de-linked with each other. I think that would be Modi's main point to President Obama. As important as Afghanistan is to the United States, for President Obama to leave the White Office feeling like that has been resolved, India can play its hand by saying, for that help, we need you to help us with Pakistan. But I should also say, Rajdeep, that the news headlines might be focused on the Middle East, but American citizens care a great deal about the economy. And the slow economic rebound has hurt President Obama tremendously. It has hurt the Democrats in office. And so for President Obama, shifting the focus away from the Middle East to be able to announce a major economic initiative with India is not entirely bad politics either.
So major economic initiatives is what you're expecting. For example, energy security, there's much talk that there could be some possible agreement or certainly conversation on energy security, certainly some conversation on trade and investment in the context of WTO. There's been talk of a private investment treaty between the two countries. You believe that economics will dominate the agenda even more than terror?
I do. I think economics has to. It is Prime Minister Modi's calling card. He has made development and governance for all of India's people the major plank of his campaign. He has to go home showing that that has been done. I think the announcement yesterday about the reduced visa restrictions for PIOs and overseas Indians is a major step in that direction. It gives him a major card to play with President Obama in saying, I've made a very public announcement that I'm going to make it easier for Americans to come to India. What can you do in return?
So is that in conclusion, Professor Sood, the message you're hoping that that today Prime Minister Modi brings to President Obama, that we are partners, we are friends. We may not be strategic allies in the truest sense of the term, but we can be partners, friends, and the economy is where we start. I mean, the economy, both countries need a kickstart in their economy. India needs to propel growth and jobs. America desperately needs to propel growth and jobs.
I don't think he necessarily needs to convince President Obama. I mean, one thing I can say, which is in India's favor today, is there's a wide bipartisan agreement that relations with India are important, whether it's Democrats, Republicans. One of the few things in this town that both parties agree on. So I think Mr. Modi will probably talk about economics, but again, this is not the time to say, let's make a deal. The idea is India ready to open up? Is India ready to shed some of its past? Is India ready to join America in those areas? On the other side, like Professor Nuruddin has said, I think India has finally got America convinced that Pakistan is part of the problem. It's not that the Americans don't understand it. They understand it. But they really are in a disarray as to what their policy towards Pakistan should be. Should it be soft glove? Should it be hard glove? What should it be? They don't know.
Okay.